Alright guys, welcome back, and we are back with a new part of the video, and the guide even. So, we're now going to be looking at the potions and the inventory. So, overloads are an absolute must, recommendation. If you don't have them, you need to get them, because without them, next is very difficult. I recommend Supreme Overloads, or if you've got the salve, use that, but definitely Supreme Overload. Second thing on my inventory is a Super Prayer Renewal, and again, I'll get onto why you're using that. The next thing you want is either a Replenishment or an Adrenaline Potion. I use Adrenaline. Then you'll want to get a Super Restores. I normally take 3 for my solos, so 3 should be perfectly adequate if you're using the optimum setup I'm providing. And then you want to take yourself, if you've got brew flasks, take 6 brew flasks for learning. Once you get a bit more experienced, you can obviously switch that out for the normal brews, normal restores, whatever you choose, but just for the sake of the video I will use this. Okay, it's also part of the preset. So that is the first part of the inventory. So you've got a Supreme Overload, a Super Prayer Renewal. The Supreme Overload obviously going to provide you with the damage. Don't worry about having to re-overload or anything like that. If it happens, it happens. You know, it does happen to the best of us. Second thing you've got is obviously a Super Prayer Renewal. It will restore your prayer points as well as give you an initial prayer sip. Don't use this as your prayer potion, as your prayer restore. Use your Super Restores as a Super Restore. Okay, I normally tend to use one for I sort of go down like this, so if I need to brew Rocktail Brew or Restore or anything like that, I've got them lined up and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how you set your inventory up, that's just how I've learned to do it. Okay, the other thing I've got in my inventory obviously are Sourdome and Brews, really useful. Remember, you've got 6,000 HP there, 6,000 HP there, 6,000 HP there, and so on, so on, so on. So if we do 6 times 6,000, sorry, that's 36,000. So you've effectively got 36,000 damage worth of food right there in your inventory. Okay, so don't be afraid to use it. Once it's gone though, it's gone, you know, but it's a lot better to try and get into the habit of using these. I mean, eventually you'll just get to the point where you can keep your HP up without having to worry. You'll incorporate things like switches and reses and stuff like that just to make yourself be able to survive longer without having to use more food. But again, I'll get onto that later on. So that's the main part of the inventory. Now let's move on to the second part. Now the second part we want is Rocktails. Take as many Rocktails as you can, but since we're going to be doing a solo, we're going to want to incorporate other things into the inventory, so the amount of Rocktails we've got now is actually going to go down by quite a bit. So let's just put 5, 6, 7, 8 Rocktails out of the inventory, because we need to take our Serenic set, because that's 3 things. We want to take our ring, we want to take a shield, we're going to take an enhanced Excalibur, and then the last thing we're going to take is a Ring of Vigor. And the reason why we're taking all of those things is because we're going to need them in the fight. So already, if we have a look, we've lost 8 Rocktails out of the possible 16. Now you can obviously don't have to take these things, but I recommend you take a Serenic switch or something like that for the last phase, because it can help you quite a bit. And again, just set it up however you feel best. I just set this up because, you know, that's what I like to do. And, you know, that's whatever you decide to learn. So obviously we've got our shield and we have our ring, and however you choose to do it is up to you. No one is going to have a go at you for how you set your inventory up, and if anyone does, you've just got to tell them otherwise. It's how you learn. Okay, so moving on from that, what have we got left in our inventory? Well, we've got 1 space left in our inventory, so we can fill that with a Rocktail. Okay, so now let's have a look. What have we got? We've got our Overload, we've got our Super Prayer Renewal, we've got Adrenaline Potion, we have our Super Restores, we have our Brews, we have our Rocktails, and we have our Armor Switch, we have our vital pieces of equipment, the Excalibur, the Shield, the Ring of Vigor, and obviously we've got our Escape Ring, the Toggle Ring. Don't use the Toggle Ring as an escape, you can also use it as a teleport back, and I'll show you when we get the kill what happens and what you can do with that. So that is the main inventory. Don't worry about how much it costs per inventory. Trust me, once you start getting drops from next, the cost of inventory just goes down massively. So that is the main thing. Okay, I will now see you in the next part of the guide.